Welcome to the Lost Colony, Mars' mysterious settlement. Our journey begins in darkness, a faint red glow gradually blooming to reveal the windswept desert of Mars under a twilight sky. The camera drifts along a vista of crimson dunes and jagged canyons, all washed in the eerie silence of a world without familiar life. A low hum resonates in the background, merging with gusts of wind that carry the grit of Martian dust. Subtly, an orchestral melody emerges, both contemplative and foreboding, hinting that buried beneath these sands is a story the universe nearly forgot. In a control room millions of miles away on Earth, the initial discovery unfolds. Scientists gather around monitors displaying data from an orbiting research satellite scanning for geological anomalies and water ice resources. On one feed, a peculiar electromagnetic spike emerges, a phantom echo in the region known as Valles Marineris. At first, the glitch is ignored, some cosmic interference or artifact of scanning. Yet it refuses to vanish on subsequent passes, rising again and again, stubbornly persistent. It becomes harder to dismiss the possibility that something unknown, something artificial, beckons from that Martian canyon. Soon enough, higher resolution images reveal the faint outlines of angular structures half buried in sediment. The jaded scientific community grapples with one shocking possibility: a colony. Records mention nothing of a sustained human presence beyond short missions. Could a secret outpost have been built and then forgotten? The anomaly sparks a hush-hush meeting of top scientists, governments, and private corporations. Among them is Dr. Evelyn, an astrobiologist revered for her calm intellect and unwavering curiosity. Leaning over a holographic map, she notes that the structures resemble a style decades out of date, reminiscent of older NASA designs, though it's difficult to be certain. Meanwhile, her partner in discovery, Commander Julian, a renowned pilot and explorer, contemplates the data in silence. His steely resolve reveals a man accustomed to forging paths into the unknown. A plan takes shape. A specialized crew is assembled, counting geologists, engineers, historians, and a small security detail. The motive: land near the anomaly, confirm the colony's existence, and learn what fate befell it. Could anyone still be alive, isolated from Earth for years? Could it be a relic from an abandoned program overshadowed by global strife or overshadowed budgets? Or might it hold secrets that push the boundaries of known science? That impetus drives them to prime a state-of-the-art spacecraft. As it lifts off from Earth, crowds watch in awe, some hoping for a milestone in space exploration, others anxious about the notion of a hidden colony at all. Scenes of the craft drifting through cosmic emptiness underscore the magnitude of the mission. The quiet hum of life support systems becomes the crew's soundtrack, overshadowed only by the deep unknown that awaits on Mars. At last, the craft descends into Mars's atmosphere, battered by swirling dust storms and the planet's thin air, culminating in a tense landing. The engines roar, thrusters adjust, and after brief strain, the ship touches down in a swirl of red dust near the Valles Marineris region. As the dust settles, glimpses of rocky cliffs and canyon edges frame the horizon. Commander exits first, scanning the horizon with careful, practiced eyes. The rest follow, stepping into the ruddy landscape. Their footprints become the first in this region in who knows how long, possibly overshadowing footprints from a lost colony. The crisp dryness of the Martian environment tugs at their suits, reminding them how hostile the planet truly is. Temperatures plunging, unbreathable air, cosmic radiation. The slightest miscalculation can mean death here, yet there's a raw grandeur that humbles them. Dr. Carter feels a surge of reverence. They've landed near an epic canyon that dwarfs Earth's Grand Canyon by magnitude. If a settlement is hidden out there, it must have harnessed or endured the extremes of this land. Sensors guide them to a ridge, from which they see the surreal outline of structures half ensconced in dust. They approach carefully, hearts pounding. The architecture is reminiscent of older NASA modules, or perhaps even Soviet-era expansions, domed habitats, angular frameworks that clearly reflect human engineering but battered by decades of sandstorms. The camera pans across an enclosure strewn with rusted support beams, shattered solar arrays, and faint logos nearly eroded from the surfaces. Some might read Ad Astra Colony, or so the explorers guess, though the paint is chipped beyond legibility. The settlement appears lifeless, yet eerily intact. The hush is jarring. No hum of machinery, no flicker of lights, just silence, broken only by the explorers' calm chatter. A wave of awe sweeps over them. They realize they stand at the threshold of a lost chapter in humanity's cosmic narrative. In the first building they enter, an airlock chamber, they discover battered suits, ration packs, and archaic computers. Thick layers of dust coat everything, as if time froze. The atmosphere inside is stale, the settlement's pressurization system long gone. Visual relics like scribbled instructions on walls, a pinned photograph of Earth, or personal mementos on tables speak of people who lived here, survived for a while, but seemingly vanished. Commander Marshall steels himself and instructs the group to split up. Dr. Carter, along with engineer Luis Ramirez, ventures into what they guess was the command center. The rest proceed to the living quarters. In the dim glow of their flashlights, the command center reveals rows of ancient screens and a battered main console with archaic NASA insignia. Despite the gloom, a single red indicator flickers. Ramirez fiddles with some wiring. Sparks fly, and a flicker of static emerges from a half-broken speaker. Then, unbelievably, an audio log begins to play. The voice is faint, burdened by static, but unmistakably human. The crew listens raptly. A man's voice, audibly weary but determined, speaks of daily challenges. Water supplies diminishing, solar flares knocked out half our system's morale is low. We keep sending signals, but Earth never responds. Another log references a possible infiltration. There's something in the sublevel tunnels, some presence we didn't account for. The logs skip, the last message bearing panic. If you find this, we're out of time. Losing oxygen. The shield is failing. No rescue. The recording cuts. A hush settles in the command center, everyone grappling with the weight of these final transmissions. The explorers confirm that these logs are decades old. Dr. Carter's face reveals sorrow, but also a scientist's fascination. How had a group of presumably Earth-based explorers managed to build a settlement decades before official records indicated? Why was there no mention in NASA or global archives? As they delve deeper, rummaging through dusty data drives, battered diaries, and archaic memory sticks, the puzzle becomes more intriguing. Some diaries discuss how the colony began as a clandestine joint operation during a period of heightened Cold War tension. The impetus was to create a self-sufficient outpost on Mars, forging humanity's future away from Earth's political turmoil. The diaries mention financial sponsor names and references to technology beyond the era's known capabilities. Mysteriously, they also allude to something discovered beneath the Martian soil, fragments of an older civilization or an energy source. A repeated phrase recurs in different diaries. We found it. It changed everything. The diaries end abruptly. The question arises, what is it? And did it doom them or promise salvation? Realizing that the living quarters might hold more personal artifacts, Dr. Carter, Ramirez, and a few others go there. Row after row of bunk beds, battered suits, personal lockers half broken. One locker yields a thick journal sealed in plastic. Its pages reveal daily logs of a woman named Dr. Tanisha Okafor, presumably the colony's lead scientist. She narrates early triumphs, success in growing crops in a controlled greenhouse, digging deep for stable water reserves, forging a vibrant micro-society. Then come references to the underchambers, where they apparently found structures not of earthly design. Tension built among colonists about whether to investigate deeper or seal them off. Dr. Okafor wrote, "We sense these energies in the tunnels. Some colonists dream of voices calling them deeper." The final entries describe mass confusion, sabotage, an urgent attempt to contact Earth, and overwhelming fear as lights began failing. That last line, "We have so little oxygen left, but leaving these energies untapped might be humankind's greatest regret. We must try." No further pages follow. Commander Marshall, Dr. Carter, and Ramirez huddle to share findings. It's clear the settlement is bigger than they initially assumed. Tunnels and labs presumably extend below the surface, perhaps where the colonists encountered their downfall. A decision is made to push deeper. The music picks up a haunting tension as the explorers venture down subterranean corridors. Flickers of residual power occasionally cause broken lights to spark, revealing glimpses of strange symbols on walls, some reminiscent of Earth's early mission patches, others wholly alien. The sense of stepping into a living tomb intensifies with each step. Far below, they find an area labeled Nexus. Judging by the logs, Nexus was the colony's heart. The door is sealed with a manual wheel lock and cryptic warnings scrawled in chalk. For the sake of humankind, do not open. The explorers freeze. Ramirez examines the lock. Dr. Carter checks the diaries for references. Something about an ancient Martian power harnessed by the colonists in their final days. Fear wars with curiosity. The team's moral debate. Are they obligated to learn from the past or to heed the warnings? Marshall contends that ignorance might be riskier. They carefully open the door. Inside, they find a large, dome-shaped chamber illuminated by a faint, pulsating light from a central device, some advanced generator or crystalline structure that hums with residual energy. The structure is etched with Martian script, or something that merges human engineering with an unknown design. Audio logs stored on a console replay final transmissions, each more desperate. We tried controlling it. It resonates with consciousness. People are hearing voices. We can't shut it down. We're losing ourselves, then static. The watchers realize it wasn't just a technological glitch. Perhaps some form of energy or intelligence overcame them. As tension peaks, the explorers wonder if reactivating the device might yield answers or trigger a meltdown. Dr. Carter attempts to interpret the runic patterns, while Ramirez tries to gauge power levels. The device glows more strongly, as though awakened by their presence. Commander Marshall urges caution, remembering the warnings. But it's too late to retreat empty-handed. The moral question becomes, do they replicate the colonists' final steps or responsibly secure this artifact? In a climactic moment, Dr. Carter manages to isolate a core fragment from the device, transferring it into a containment module. The device's glow dims, as though it's lost its heart. They hope the settlement, and any dangerous energies, remain stable with the main power source inert. The tension deflates somewhat, but a lingering sense of awe and dread remains. This settlement was more than a group of exiles. Possibly they discovered evidence of an ancient Martian civilization or an interdimensional energy field. The diaries, partial though they are, hint that the colonists believed they were forging a new epoch for humanity. Instead, they vanished into silence, overshadowed by cosmic forces or their own hubris. At last, the explorers gather their data, diaries, logs, samples, the extracted core. Commander Marshall orders a methodical retreat, ensuring none of the more dangerous or untested systems are tampered with. The final scenes show them standing outside in the fading Martian sunlight, gazing over the battered domes. Their hearts are heavy with the knowledge that they have uncovered a story spanning decades, possibly a deeper cosmic story still. They vow not to let these secrets vanish again. These colonists deserve recognition, their bravery honored, and their warnings heeded. They return to their lander. The entire site looks hauntingly beautiful under a Martian dusk. Before closing the hatch, Dr. Carter glances back, near tears, imagining the everyday lives that once thrived in that dusty sanctuary, their laughter echoing across dunes, now an echo lost to time. The engines roar, dust swirls, and the camera drifts upward as the ship lifts off. The sun dips behind the ridge, painting the final glimpses of the colony in shadow. Dr. Carter explains that the data reveals not only an undisclosed mission from decades past, but also fundamental breakthroughs in energy manipulation possibly gleaned from Martian geology or something beyond typical Earth science. The big question remains, how did the colony come to be, who financed it, and why was it never rescued? Political turmoil on Earth during that era, hush-hush black budgets, or perhaps the presence of powers that quickly covered up any mention. Commander Marshall, on a quiet reflection, wonders if the colonists truly died, or if they integrated with an unknown Martian presence, ascending to a plane beyond Earth's comprehension. The moral theme emerges. While humanity's ambition often leads to remarkable achievements, it also harbors a potential for recklessness if cosmic forces are not respected. The voices from the colony's logs cry for humility, to embrace wonder yet approach unknown energies with caution and reverence. The final fade-out sees a last shot of the buried outpost from orbit, a glimmer of reflective metal peeking from red dust, hinting that Mars is never truly silent, and that the Lost Colony saga is an ongoing echo of humankind's unstoppable drive to explore.